What is consciousness? The question seems simple, almost childlike in its innocence. Yet for centuries, philosophers, scientists, mystics, and visionaries have returned to it, drawn by its profound mystery and its central role in our very existence. The moment you open your eyes in the morning, the world floods in. Light, color, sensation, thought. You experience yourself as a being, distinct, yet connected, aware of both the world and the awareness itself. But what is it truly to be conscious? Is it merely the flicker of neurons, the dance of chemistry and electricity inside a biological brain? Or could it be something much more? A spark, a thread, woven through the very fabric of the universe. Look up at the night sky. Multitudes of stars swirl in the dark, each a sun in its own right, each perhaps circled by worlds unknown. Galaxies twirl in cosmic ballets, stretching their arms across unimaginable distances. The Earth, too, spins quietly in this vastness, a blue and green sphere teeming with life, with billions of minds, each ablaze with inner light. And at the heart of it all, behind the spinning galaxies, the firing neurons, and the searching human eye, there lies a single, shared mystery: consciousness. What if the universe is not only filled with matter and energy, but also with awareness? What if consciousness is not a mere byproduct of evolution, but a fundamental property of reality itself? Could the cosmos in some sense be alive, and even aware? Today, let us journey together, both inward and outward, as we explore the enigma of consciousness and its possible role in a living, breathing universe. We will move from the inner world of subjective experience to the outermost reaches of scientific theory and ancient wisdom. Along the way, we will ask, is consciousness limited to humans, or does it pervade all things? Are we alone in our awareness, or are we, in fact, expressions of a conscious cosmos? To begin our journey, we must first ask, what is consciousness? Consciousness is often described as subjective experience, the knowing, feeling, sensing, and thinking that form the core of what it means to be alive. It is not just the ability to process information, or to respond to the environment, but the felt sense of being. The inner movie, the voice in your head, the taste of chocolate, the ache of sadness, the rush of joy. These are all aspects of consciousness. But how do we define it more precisely? At its core, consciousness includes several interwoven elements. There is self-awareness, the recognition of oneself as a distinct entity, capable of reflection and introspection. There is sensory perception, the vivid tapestry of sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and textures that fill our waking moments. There are emotions and thoughts, flowing and swirling like currents in a deep ocean. Together, these elements create the full spectrum of conscious experience. Yet, even as neuroscience has made remarkable advances in mapping the human brain, identifying regions responsible for memory, emotion, language, and vision, it has run into a fundamental wall. This is what philosopher David Chalmers famously called the hard problem of consciousness. The hard problem asks, how do physical processes, chemical reactions, electrical impulses, the firing of neurons, give rise to the richness of subjective experience? How does the activity of the brain produce the feeling of being, the vibrant inner life that is so central to our existence? We can trace neural pathways, pinpoint areas involved in decision-making, even observe the flicker of activity that accompanies a memory or a dream. But nowhere, in all this complexity, do we find the magic ingredient that turns matter into mind. Why should a particular arrangement of atoms produce awareness at all? Why is there something it is like to be a human, or a bat, or even, if we stretch the question, a single cell? This enigma has haunted thinkers for centuries. For every scientific breakthrough, a deeper mystery seems to emerge. Is consciousness an emergent property, arising only when matter reaches a certain level of complexity? Or is it something more fundamental, an irreducible aspect of reality that cannot be explained away? And, most provocatively, is consciousness limited to biological brains, or could it exist elsewhere, even in forms we have not yet imagined? From this foundation, let us venture further, into a realm where consciousness may not be the exception, but the rule. Imagine, for a moment, that consciousness is not something that appears only in humans, or even in animals with complex brains. Imagine that it is a fundamental property of the universe, like mass, charge, or spin, a basic ingredient of existence itself. This is the provocative idea at the heart of panpsychism. The word panpsychism comes from the Greek words pan, meaning all, and psyche, meaning soul or mind. At its core, panpsychism suggests that everything, every particle, every atom, every rock and river and star, possesses some degree of consciousness, however faint or rudimentary. Consciousness in this view is not an emergent phenomenon that appears only when matter becomes sufficiently complex, but a quality that exists at every level of reality. This idea is not new. It can be traced back through the history of philosophy to figures like Galileo and Spinoza, who saw mind and matter as two sides of the same coin. In the 20th and 21st centuries, philosophers such as Alfred North Whitehead and, more recently, Philip Goff have revived and refined the concept, presenting it as a serious alternative to materialist explanations of consciousness. Panpsychism is tantalizing because it offers a way to bridge the gap between mind and matter. If consciousness is a basic property of all things, then it need not be explained away or reduced to physical processes. Instead, it is woven into the very fabric of existence, present in every grain of sand, every breeze, every distant galaxy. But what would it mean for a particle to be conscious? Surely it does not think or feel in the way a human does. Panpsychism does not claim that all consciousness is alike, or that all experience is rich and complex. Instead, it proposes a spectrum, a gradient of awareness, ranging from the simplest forms at the level of quarks and electrons, to the elaborate self-awareness of humans and perhaps beyond. In this view, the consciousness of a particle might be unimaginably simple, nothing more than a spark, a glimmer of subjectivity. As matter combines and organizes into more complex structures, molecules, cells, organisms, the richness of consciousness increases. At the highest levels, in animals and humans, self-awareness and reflection emerge. But the basic thread of consciousness, however faint, is always present. Panpsychism challenges us to rethink our place in the cosmos. Are we unique, or are we part of a vast continuum of awareness that extends from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy? Is the universe, in some profound sense, alive and conscious at every scale? The implications are staggering. If consciousness is everywhere, then the universe is not a cold, dead machine, but a living, breathing tapestry of experience. Every event, every interaction, every movement of matter and energy becomes suffused with meaning. Yet for many, this vision is difficult to accept. The idea of conscious particles seems strange, almost mystical. How could something so simple possess even the faintest glimmer of awareness? And if consciousness is everywhere, why does it seem so rare, so precious, so deeply tied to the intricate workings of the brain? To address these questions, some thinkers have turned to a different model, one that sees the brain not as the generator of consciousness, but as its receiver, or filter. Imagine consciousness as a vast, ever-present field, like the electromagnetic waves that fill the air. Your brain, in this analogy, is like a radio. It tunes into the field, picks up the signal, and translates it into the music of experience. Consciousness does not originate in the brain, but flows through it, shaped and modulated by its unique structure. This idea echoes ancient spiritual traditions from around the world. In Hinduism, consciousness is seen as Brahman, the universal spirit, the ground of all being. Individual minds are like waves on the surface of the ocean, each unique yet inseparable from the vastness beneath. In Buddhism, the mind is not a thing, but a process, a stream of awareness that flows through all beings, connected yet distinct. Mystical traditions across cultures speak of a universal awareness, a cosmic mind in which all things participate. Modern science, too, has begun to explore the possibility that consciousness might be non-local, not confined to the brain, but distributed across space and time, perhaps even linked to the strange, elusive world of quantum fields. Some models propose that consciousness arises from the fundamental structure of reality, woven into the very fabric of space, time, and matter. If the brain is a receiver, not a generator, then consciousness could exist independently of the body. Near-death experiences, mystical visions, and moments of profound insight might be glimpses of this deeper reality, a temporary tuning in to the cosmic signal. The mind, in this view, is not an isolated island, but a channel, a bridge between the individual and the infinite. But if consciousness is not limited to brains and not confined to particles, could it be that the universe itself is, in some sense, conscious? This question takes us to the outermost edge of speculation. And yet, It is a question that has been asked in many forms, across cultures and centuries. Consider the possibility that the universe as a whole is a conscious system, that galaxies, stars, planets, and perhaps even the cosmos itself possess a form of awareness on a scale far beyond our comprehension. This idea finds echoes in both science and spirituality. Theoretical physicist Roger Penrose has explored the link between consciousness and the deepest laws of physics, proposing that the fabric of space-time itself may be involved in the emergence of awareness. His work with anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff has led to the hypothesis that quantum processes in the brain might connect biological consciousness to the underlying quantum nature of reality, a bridge between mind and cosmos. Ancient belief systems, too, have long envisioned the universe as alive and aware. The Greeks spoke of the nous, or cosmic mind, an intelligence that pervades all things. In the Vedic texts of India, Brahman is both the source and substance of reality, a living consciousness that gives rise to all forms. Chinese philosophy speaks of the Tao, the way, or flow of the universe, both immanent and transcendent, guiding the dance of existence. Could it be that galaxies, with their billions of stars and swirling arms, possess a form of collective awareness? Could the universe itself, in all its complexity and grandeur, be a living conscious being, an entity that through its countless forms experiences itself? Some theorists suggest that consciousness may scale with complexity. Just as a single neuron is not conscious, but a network of billions becomes so, perhaps the vast networks of matter and energy in the cosmos give rise to higher forms of awareness. Stars, planets, galaxies. Each could be a node in a cosmic mind, a point of experience in the great web of being. This vision is both humbling and exhilarating. It invites us to see ourselves not as isolated minds, but as expressions of a conscious universe, each of us a way for the cosmos to know itself. But how can we test such grand ideas? Is there any way to bring the question of consciousness into the realm of scientific inquiry? Today, scientists are probing the frontiers of consciousness with new tools, new theories, and new experiments. Though we are far from solving the mystery, the search has already transformed our understanding. One leading theory is Integrated Information Theory, or IIT. Developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi, IIT proposes that consciousness arises from systems that are highly interconnected and integrated, systems in which information flows freely and is processed in complex, dynamic ways. According to IIT, the degree of consciousness corresponds to the amount of integrated information a system contains, a mathematical measure known as phi. In this view, consciousness is not all or nothing, but comes in degrees, depending on the structure and activity of the system. Another provocative idea is Orchestrated Objective Reduction, or ORCH-OR, proposed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff. ORCH-OR suggests that consciousness may emerge from quantum processes inside the microtubules of neurons, tiny structures that vibrate and interact at the quantum level. If true, this could link consciousness to the deepest laws of physics, and perhaps even to the fabric of space and time itself. Researchers are also using sophisticated brain scans, artificial intelligence, and anesthesia studies to probe the edges of consciousness. By observing how awareness flickers in and out during sleep, anesthesia, or brain injury, scientists hope to map the boundary between conscious and unconscious states. The rise of artificial intelligence, too, offers new ways to explore the nature of mind, by building machines that can mimic, simulate, or perhaps even experience consciousness. Yet, for all these advances, the puzzle remains unsolved. Consciousness resists easy explanation, slipping through the nets of theory and experiment. Science, for all its power, may be approaching the limits of what can be measured and described, but the mystery only deepens as we look to the future. As machines become more intelligent, more lifelike, and more capable of mimicking human thought, we are forced to ask, can artificial minds ever become conscious, or will they always be, at best, simulations, brilliant imitations without inner light? Large language models and neural networks can generate language, recognize images, play games, and even create music. They can converse, answer questions, and adapt to new situations, sometimes with uncanny fluency. But do they feel? Is there anything it is like to be an artificial intelligence, or are they empty shells, devoid of awareness? Philosophers debate, is behavior enough, or is experience required? If a machine walks like a human, talks like a human, and acts like a human, does it possess consciousness? Or is it only a mirror, reflecting us but never becoming us? The prospect of conscious machines raises profound ethical and existential challenges. If artificial minds can suffer, hope, or love, how should we treat them? What rights should they possess? And what does it mean for our own sense of identity, our uniqueness, our place in the universe? Perhaps in the end, artificial minds will remain forever outside the circle of true consciousness, brilliant mimics, but never truly alive. Or perhaps, as technology evolves, new forms of awareness will emerge, radically different from our own, yet no less real. As our journey draws to a close, we return to where we began, the mystery of consciousness and its possible role in the living universe. Consciousness is the lens through which the universe becomes real. Without awareness, there is no meaning, no beauty, no we. The world exists, but it is empty, silent, unseen. With consciousness, everything changes. The colors of a sunset, the laughter of a child, the ache of longing, the joy of discovery, all these are born of awareness, shaped and enriched by the mind that beholds them. Perhaps, in the deepest sense, the universe is not just observed, but observing itself. Through us, through every conscious being, through every flicker of awareness that arises and fades. We are not separate from the cosmos, but expressions of its inner life, participants in its endless unfolding. The question of consciousness may never be fully answered. It may remain, always, a mystery, inviting us to wonder, to explore, to dream. Yet, in seeking to understand it, we come closer to ourselves and to the universe that gave us birth. As we look to the future, new questions await. What forms of awareness might emerge in the centuries to come? What secrets lie hidden in the vastness of space, in the depths of the mind, in the heart of the cosmos itself? The journey continues, ever inward, ever outward, into the mystery of being. Tomorrow, we will explore a more distant vision, the rise of galactic civilizations, the building of empires among the stars. But for now, let us rest in wonder, in awe, and in the quiet certainty that consciousness, wherever it may dwell, is the greatest gift of all.